You know, being a breathwork YouTube coach is a funny old gig, and no 2 days are ever quite the same. I was recently in London and I got to spend some time with Abdaal, who's rather big on YouTube now. I think he's coming up to sort of 3 million subscribers, productivity guru. And I got to coach him on a series of breathing exercises, functional breathing. And what's so cool is I get to share that clip with you now. So in a minute, I'm going to cut to that clip. And really what you're about to see is a routine that you can practice on a daily basis to help open up the nose, increase flexibility, use the diaphragm a bit more, become more conscious about your breathing. And why would that be important? Well, functional breathing is what we should all be aiming for. And sadly, so many of us have become dysfunctional, less efficient, poor breathers. And with that comes a load of problems: increased blood pressure, stress, anxiety, depression, a whole host of all nasty things. But the wonderful thing is we can change that. We can breathe better. We want to breathe better. We just need the education how to do it. We've got all the wrong education when it comes to poor posture and inactivity and chronic stress all around us. But actually, just with a few simple tips and tricks, we can start to unpick some of the stuff that's happened. So I'm going to cut to that clip in a second. If you want to watch the full interview with me and Ali, I've linked that down below. I highly recommend that. There's a good old hour and a bit of me and him talking about all things to do with breathing. He's a trained doctor, so that was a great conversation to have with him. Just a very quick reminder before we jump into this, my breathwork course, Functional Breathing Essentials, is out now, and the link is down below if you are interested, and I will see you soon. So what we want to do, let's, do you want to unblock your nose first?
Sure, I'll do that.
So it works about 50% of the time. If you're already breathing quite well, then you might not feel it, but we'll do it now. Maybe we can cut it if it doesn't work. But so what I want you to do is in a second, take a normal breath in and a normal breath out. And I'm going to cap the nose. I'm going to just shake the head and the body. And the reason I'm doing that is just create a bit more CO2. And what I want you to do there is do a fairly strong breath hold.
Okay.
And then this is the important thing, when you've finished, you want to breathe back in through the nose because you've harnessed some nasal nitric oxide there. So we want to make sure we capture that because it's the vasodilator. Okay. So in, out, hold, shake as long as you can. Don't do this if you're pregnant, if you've got epilepsy or high blood pressure. It's quite a strong breath hold. And what we'll do, that is just going to start to increase the CO2 in your body, start to open everything up a little bit. So we'll do it. You need to do it about 5 times on this. So we'll do a little bit and see how we get on.
So normal breath in.
Normal breath in, normal breath out. Cap your nose, shake your head, keep shaking, shake your whole body. It's good to feel silly, look silly, have a little dance, keep holding. And as you're doing this, just know you're full of oxygen. And so when that urgency to breathe comes, it doesn't want to be a very stressful breath, but when you feel the right time to breathe, you're going to breathe back in through your nose. And you're going to harness all that beautiful nasal nitric oxide. And then back out through the nose. And so it may have started, may not yet. We're going to just breathe normally now through your nose, just for the next sort of 20, 30 seconds. We're going to go for a second round. And just the air hunger, was that, how would you have described how you felt during the last few seconds? Was it quite tough? Yeah, quite unpleasant. Okay. So just keep breathing through your nose. Settle in the breath again. And when you're ready now, we're going to do a normal breath in through the nose, a normal breath out through the nose. You're going to cap your nose. I'm going to shake. Dance. Boogie. And again, you know, that urgency to breathe is going to come up, and that's a good thing because the CO2 is rising in your body just to the point where you've got a medium to strong air hunger. Keep going. Know that you're full of oxygen. And we'll just keep breathing for a second. Now, we're only 2 into probably 5, but is there any noticeable difference as yet? Is it still feeling about the same, or?
I think the unblocked nostril has become more unblocked.
Okay, good. We'll do one more and we'll see how that's going. But about 5 is about optimal for this. And the wonderful thing to do before bed is it's an exercise. It's going to help open things up before you put your mouth tape on. Okay, so when you're ready, in your own time, you're going to breathe back in through the nose and out through the nose. You're going to cap your nose and we're going to shake. Keep going, keep shaking, keep going. Getting a real insight to you as a dancer at a wedding, I think, here. And right now, the CO2 levels are really starting to go a bit higher in the body. You know, nothing dangerous here. We're just, slowly holding our breath, not to the point of passing out, just purely at a point where we can start to open up our nose a little bit. Yeah, we're feeling maybe a little bit more open.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Definitely on this nostril.
good,
Yeah.
good. And you can do that 3-6 times.
Yeah.
It's just a good way to get you started. So what I want us to do then first is you can do this with your eyes open or closed. This one's called breath awareness.
Okay.
So I take my right hand onto my belly
Right hand belly. Yep.
and left hand onto my heart.
Left to left hand heart. Yep.
And you want to sit up nice and straight. And this is maybe the most difficult exercise, Ali, because what I want you to do here is do nothing. I just want you to focus on how your breathing is. And it might be very hard to do, first of all, because you're going to want to start to change things. But really, the whole point here is just to check in with your breathing. And the reason for your hands where they are is because not only will you get to sense it through your nostrils, you'll also get to sense how your hands are moving. So your belly hand, is that moving much? Is that staying the same? Same with the chest. And so it's just breath awareness could be arguably the most important, because we need to know how we're breathing first so we can get under the hood and start to make some changes. And as you sit there and breathe, not really trying to change anything at all, just paying attention to the sound or the feeling of the air that comes in through your nose and out through your nose, and how your hands are moving, and avoiding that temptation to change anything, just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. It can be quite powerful, this, because you're checking in with yourself here. It's a form of active meditation, because not only are we just trying to clear our thoughts, we're actively focusing on something, but something we don't really want to change, just to pay attention to. So just continue now breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes again. And so the benefit of that exercise is just to get a sense of how you are feeling.
Okay.
And as you go through the steps of practicing different breathing exercises, that becomes a useful tool to kind of check in with yourself, because you might have found right then, oh, my hand didn't really move much on the belly. It was quite static, or I could feel my chest was moving quite high,
Yeah.
or I felt like I was breathing quite fast on there. And so it's just a check-in, and then something you can journal about and come back to. So what I want to do now is do a little bit of box breathing with you.
Okay.
And the reason for this is, before we go into some of the other exercises, let's just slow everything down. Navy SEALs use this exercise because by slowing everything down, we might be in a better state to make a decision, as opposed to being frantically breathing, panic breathing, trying to make a decision. Let's just slow everything down. So what I'll do, I'll just guide you through a little bit of box breathing, just a couple of rounds. So I'm going to use the nose for this. So we're going to breathe in through the nose for 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold 4, 3, 2, 1, and out through the nose 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold 4, 3, 2, 1, and in through the nose 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold 4, 3, 2, 1, and out through the nose 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's just slow it down slightly now. In through the nose 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Out through the nose 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And go back to normal nasal breathing now. When we slowed it down, was there any challenge with that, or was it I could do 5, I could do maybe even 6 or 7 seconds?
Oh yeah, easy.
That's great. Yeah, good. Okay. So what I want us to move on to now is
Sorry, can I ask?
of course.
What's the point of these breathing exercises?
Okay, so the breath awareness is to check in with the body.
Yeah.
The box breathing is just slowing us down. So it's just getting a bit of control now. So starting to get under the hood and play with it.
Okay.
And so by breathing at a slower rate, it comes back to increasing your levels of CO2.
So if I feel like I'm in a stressful situation,
if you come out of a meeting and your boss has been shouting at you, whatever, and you're just in that panic state, you can check in with yourself. You can then do box breathing just to slow everything down. And then by slowing everything down, you're thinking clearer, and then you can move forward and make a decision.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So what I'd like us to do now is let's start to feel the airflow, because this is a really cool exercise. So what you do is you get your middle finger, and where the middle finger meets the hand, you can just place that on your nose like this. And as you're breathing through your nose, hope you've not had anything smelly on your hands, what you'll find is the airflow should start to hit the hand. Yeah? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to guide you through slowing this down. So just keep that hand there. By the way, you can also do it like this, as a feather breath. I don't think it looks very good from a PR point of view to be doing that, so I like to do it this way. And so what you're doing here is you're feeling the air as it's hitting your hand. And so we're going to start to slow that down now, Ali. So what I want you to do, you can stay in the position you're in, you can keep your eyes open or closed. Just before we start to play with it, get a sense of what that air feels like. Maybe it's stronger on one nostril or the other. Maybe the intensity is quite hard. Just try and remember, if you can, what that is, because we're going to start to slow it down. And what I like to use as an analogy is one of those old car stereos with the winding knob that you can use to turn the volume down. And what I want us to do now is let's just start to turn that volume down. And what that means for you is we're going to reduce the airflow, maybe just a couple of percent to start off with. Can we make the air flow quieter, more gently and smoother as we breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the nose? I can already hear a quieter breath from you now. It was quite loud before, and now it's fantastic. So we're just slowing it down. And as you start to do this, breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the nose, the levels of CO2 in your body are going to rise slightly. And you're going to feel what's known as an air hunger. And that's good. That's what we want to do here. Now, a bit like when we did the breath holds before to unblock your nose, that would be classed as a strong air hunger. We don't want to do that. We want to probably have a medium air hunger here. We're not trying to get to that point where we're desperate, but I would like you to get to the point where you want to start to take a bit of a bigger breath, but you're choosing not to. You're choosing to keep it slow. So we're breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, and the airflow is nice and gentle on the hands. Now just give me a nod. Is it gentler than it was at the start of the exercise? Good, okay. Now, if you can, because it's the first time you've done this, I imagine, let's just take that radio knob and let's just turn it down another couple of percent. Could we go a little bit more? Could we go to a slightly lower inhale and a slightly slower exhale, slightly little bit more of airflow going back and forth? And again, you're getting this wonderful feedback of what's hitting your hands. So you get to feel the air, but you're also getting to feel it in your body, the feeling of air hunger. Breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the nose. And then when you're ready, you can move your hand and you can go back to normal nasal breathing. How was that exercise for you?
Yeah, I realized that sort of subconsciously I was like making noise while I was breathing.
Yeah.
And probably wasn't necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, when I did yoga in Bali for a month, and I would make the loudest noise possible because I wanted the yoga instructor to know I was really suffering. And then I only realised after, no, slow nasal breathing's the game here. It's the way forward. So it's just what we're doing here. We're just playing with some different tools, some free tools that can get us out of our head and get us to feel what's going on with our breathing. Now, an exercise like that, you could do that for 10 or 15 minutes in the morning and the evening. And by creating that air hunger on a consistent daily basis, you're going to be in a position where you're going to start to raise your tolerance to CO2. And so I did that, and it took me about 6 weeks to get my breath hold from about 14 seconds to about 30, which is a good way. And so with all of these things, like anything in life, consistency is key. That's the thing that we absolutely want to be doing. What I want us to focus on now is a bit of the abdomen breathing. So you talked about belly breathing, how best to do it. There is a lot of different ways of doing it. But first of all, I like to think about the rib cage, because people talk about, can you improve lung capacity?
Yep.
And if you think about those sacks, those bags just hanging in the rib cage, well, they're kind of constricted by everything that's going on. If the diaphragm's not moving and the ribs are locked, then actually your lung capacity is going to be reduced. And actually, if we can open all that up, then it can make some differences. So what we need to do here is we want to start opening things up. So this is a bit of a breathing exercise, but it's a bit of movement. And by the way, this is very accessible. So I'm very, very, very tight, just naturally, I think. And so this is an exercise that pretty much anyone can do. We can do some crazy yoga with Adrian, and we can do handstands, but in this, it's just about opening things up a little bit. So the first exercise is called picking apples. And what we're going to do is we're going to put our hand up in the air. And as we do, we're going to breathe in, and we're going to grab an apple from the top. And so we're breathing in, we're grabbing the apple, we're stretching all of the intercostal muscles here that sit in between the ribs. And we're just going to open them up a little bit and grab that apple. And the good thing is we can slow the breathing down at the same time. So we're going to go in. And I can emphasize that exercise, but actually it does feel quite nice to go. So we'll go in again. That's good. We can go the other arm in, pick an apple. Nice big stretch. and down. And there's 2 apples. Let's go with both hands now. And we can really stretch the ribs on both sides. And if it's your first time, don't push it. And back down again. Let's do one more. Both hands in again. Just feels good to get your hands above your head.
Feels
something
great.
we don't do enough. Now let's add some twists to this.
Okay.
So this is a good chair for this. So we face forward too much. These muscles need to move. So what we want to do is we're going to take a breath in through the nose. And as we breathe out, we can grab the back and we're just going to do a twist. And we're just twisting all the intercostals and get a nice twist in there. Almost like wringing a tea towel out. So we'll sit in, face forward, breathing in now. Squeeze in and twist in and squeeze in and twist in and squeezing and twisting. And then when you're ready, you're going to breathe back in through the nose and face forward. I'll do one more that side. So here we go. Nice breath in and out. Twist in and squeeze in. Get that tea towel nicely wrung out. Get all that dish water out of that tea towel. Let's go. Okay, and face forward and breathe in. And we want to balance things out, so we'll do the other side twice now as well. So in your own time, you're going to breathe in. And we're going to twist. Keep twisting. That's it. Nice twist. Breathing out. Face forward. I'll do one more twist. And breathing out through the nose. And what that exercise is doing, and you can do apple picking for a few minutes, you can do twisting for a few minutes. I always like to feel like I'm a bit more loose now when I'm doing that. And so we're just opening up all that kind of cage a little bit because it doesn't get the love it deserves there. So now we've got a bit more flexibility. And again, that's a good exercise you can do every day, every other day. And what we want to do now is we're going to do some mechanical focusing on our belly breathing. So some people say you can breathe into the back, you can breathe into the sides. And if you actually put your hands here on the sides, and we're going to let our bellies go a little bit now. If you take a nice slow breath in through the nose, you feel your hands start to move apart. And the reason this is a good exercise to do is because, yes, belly breathing is important, but it's really a 360 breath. Everything is opening into the back. I heard that at the start of COVID, they stopped putting patients on their backs because they weren't being able to get a full breath. And so we breathe, in a 360 way. But I also think it's useful to focus on the belly. So I like to imagine there's a little balloon in the belly that's inflating. And what we're doing here is when we breathe in through the nose, we're really focusing on everything expanding outwards. And then as we breathe back in again, the diaphragm comes back up into a nice resting position. And just by focusing on the diaphragm, it already starts to move a little bit more. A bit like what Dr. Chatterjee said in his book, 1 centimetre versus 10 centimetres is huge. And so we don't necessarily want to push it out as far as we can, but just a normal, nice breath in. And we want to try and keep the shoulders where they are. We might be used to being shoulder breathers. And if you look at somebody that takes a big breath, the shoulders move in. We want to keep that breath nice and low. And we can also put a hand back on the belly and one back on the chest. And this time now we can focus on the belly moving out as we breathe in. And as we breathe back out, the belly moves in and the diaphragm moves up. Breathing back in. And breathing back out. So those exercises, I would say, are really useful as functional foundations for people. So what we've got there is just a quick reminder. So we've got breath awareness to check in. Then we can do some box breathing to slow things down. Then we can feel our breath. Then we can do some twisting to open everything up. And then finally, we can focus on our diaphragm. And we can focus on the belly breathing. By using those combinations, now with the breath awareness of the education that we've got, you can start to unpick what's happened over the decades, for me in particular, and we can start to go back to the way nature intended us to breathe, which is functionally, which is efficiently, which is the way that we should be breathing, the way we used to breathe as children, but actually we lost it through chronic stress, poor posture, being indoors and being cramped all day. We can actually unpick some of that. And I've been through my own breath journey. I had lower back problems. They're much better. I had IBS my whole life. My bloody diaphragm was locked. No surprise I wasn't getting any massage in there. And so we can start to unpick some of this And if I can give a bit of a plug, so I've just finished, literally yesterday, a functional breathing essentials masterclass. It's a 5-week masterclass. And what that does is it takes everything we've talked about here, but we go in much deeper into the what, the why, and the how. So this will be like a mini masterclass. And over those 5 weeks, I'll set you different homework. You then get a week to practice it. You get to learn all about it. There's different things you can do. You can measure your breath scores, all these different things. And at the end of the 5 weeks, you get a really deep knowledge of being a functional, efficient breather. And that's live now. And I can do an Ali 2022 22% discount on there as well. I was thinking about that. So I can give you the code for that. So anybody that's watching this would be able to get a discount and get cracking with that course.
Yeah, we'll stick that in the video description and the show notes. Sweet. This has been great. Interesting introduction to the idea of breathwork. I will continue taping my mouth shut because it seems to be good for you. I will continue being somewhat trying to be mindful of breathing through my nose, even if I don't feel like it, because I always feel like, it feels a bit blocked, but this exercise is quite useful. And I'm very keen to attend a Tony Robbins thing. And also I've been thinking about like, I should go to one of these Wim Hof things for ages, just haven't really gotten around to it, but it will happen at some point. Yeah. And then we're doing an interview on your podcast straight after this. So we'll put that in the video description and the show notes so people can check out more if people are interested in that sort of thing. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on. Any recommended resources for people who want to dive into this topic a bit more? Yeah,
so obviously I'm shamelessly plugging my course, but also my Breathcast. I don't know if that's an original name or an unoriginal name, but there's kind of 50 plus experts now been interviewed all about wellness and breathing. And that's really been a big source of my breathing education. And so to have this time, and you can go and watch these on YouTube or listen to them on Spotify. Anybody that wants to go deeper down the rabbit hole of breathwork, most of the top people are in there. The James Nestors, the Patrick McEwens, the Dr. Bliss of Ranchers, and a whole host of other people. So I really recommend that as a good resource if you want to go much deeper.
Sick.
So just finally, if you want to check out a breathing exercise, try this. And if you want to get stuck straight into a breathcast, click on this one. Cheers.